Always true.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to be?
On February 26, FIFA will elect a new president. The successful candidate will inherit an organisation ripped apart by corruption. Sepp Blatter was in power for 17 years before wrongdoing was finally exposed.
Done in the last years in FIFA.
The dramatic dawn arrests of FIFA executives in Zurich before Congress in May was the beginning of the end for the old corrupt regime. Bahraini royal Sheikh Salman is one of the new faces on the FIFA Executive Committee. For 2 years he's also served as head of the powerful Asian Football Confederation. Sheikh Salman is considered the favourite to be elected as FIFA president. But his own background has been questioned, with allegations of being complicit on the detaining and torture of Bahraini athletes after anti-government protests in 2011. Today on Talk to Al Jazeera, Sheikh Salman responds to those allegations and tells us why he thinks he's the only man to clean up FIFA. Thank you, Sheikh Salman, for talking to Al Jazeera. Do you consider yourself to be the favourite? Are you expecting to get this job?
Well, I'm honoured, I'm honoured if people think that, I'm a favourite. I'd like to think so. But again, for me, coming into this, election is that for anyone who wants to enter an election, you have to talk to the stakeholders, whether, your confederation, take their approval, talk to the stakeholders internationally, which I think they are important as yours as well, confederation, which I think it's always been positive. I felt that, the support is there. And this is what I think, encouraged me to take that step and put my name into the hat.
To become president, connections inside football and inside FIFA is what's important. But what about reputation outside football? Do you think you and everybody at FIFA needs to convince the public that things will change?
Definitely, I think everybody, and you've looked at probably the last meetings we had in Zurich, when we discussed the reforms recommendation, I think unanimously that everybody is supporting it. Everybody is supporting the changes that it needed. Whoever's going to be elected, I feel that, wants to make the changes. You will have a new president. Everybody's supporting, the reforms. Everybody wants, an open policy, a way of managing, the FIFA organization. And yes, we have to prove ourselves that, FIFA will be handled in a different way. We looked at the past, let's face it, it was run, the past 40 years in a different way, let's say, and now you have probably the chance to choose a new leader and hopefully can make that change that is necessary for all.
What targets and aims from your manifesto are most important to you? What are you going to bring to the presidency if elected?
I think the most important is that you have to create your team, the team that you can trust can deliver. No matter what your manifesto is, you bring the right people in. You have to look and assess, the existing, staff. You have over 400 people in FIFA. We all agree that, they've done, or they're doing so far, a great job, whether it's the competitions, the administration, etc. I think you have to care for them because this is, your team who's going to do the job in the future. And then, of course, we have to address all the issues that everybody is concerned about. The reforms, how to be transparent, how to assure, people that, you're going to deliver and gain their trust back, and how to gain, the image of FIFA back.
Since he announced his intention to run for president of FIFA, the spotlight has been directed once again on Bahrain, the government's clampdown on criticism there, and the role of Sheikh Salman. It was in February 2011 that one of Bahrain's most well-known soccer players, Alaa Hubal, joined anti-government protesters at a rally in which he expressed his unhappiness with the security forces in the country.
We are the sports sector in Bahrain. We are not pleased with the situation in our beloved country. We came here to express our rejection of the actions carried out by security forces. We are very depressed with the situation that we've been going through. We, the sons of Bahrain, reject the regime practices that led to the imprisonment of many and put others in the poverty line.
In April that year, he and his brother were arrested and, they allege, subsequently interrogated and beaten up. Around the same time, the government announced the formation of a committee to investigate the activities of athletes who broke the law. The head of that committee was Sheikh Salman. So from Bahrain News Agency in 2011, something that was released. His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al-Khalifa, Chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports and Chairman of the Bahraini Olympic Committee, has ordered the formation of a formal committee to investigate all breaches made by those who work for sports entities during the unfortunate events experienced recently by the Kingdom of Bahrain, a reminder in 2011. His Excellency Sheikh Salman Bin Ebrahim Al-Khalifa, yourself, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports, will chair the investigation committee. The allegation here is that footballers and athletes who protested against the government were arrested, detained and tortured, and that you were partly responsible for this. What happened? What is the truth behind these allegations?
Let's make it clear. I'd like people to look and investigate those allegations very thoroughly. Because first of all, we as a body cannot interfere in non-sporting matters. It's not our duties, it's not our responsibility. We have the rules and regulations and the law, let's say the local law in Bahrain, and it forbids it. It's against the law to talk about anything which is unrelated to sports. It's as simple as that. So, and the article in the Bahraini law states very clearly that you shouldn't and cannot involve sports and religion into sports. This is our responsibility, as simple as that. So we cannot look into other things which are not related to the game or to sports. And that's why I have to emphasize with, probably underline it with 3 lines, that the Bahrain Football Association never took any decision, any unrelated football decision, whether it's from 2011 or before or up to now.
Why was it announced that you would be chairing a committee and taking a decision? Did that work not happen then?
No, I mean, constitutionally, it cannot.
Okay, so Bahrain's probably best player, Ala Hubail and Mohammed Hubail, his brother, were 2 of, we could call them the accusers of people who said they were detained, they were tortured at the time. Recently, Ala has changed his story and come out and said actually that he supports your presidency. Why did they say that at the time, and why do you think he's changed his story?
First of all, when you say tortured, I think allegedly tortured.
Yeah, he claimed that he was tortured.
Claimed
yeah, so allegations, yeah.
I don't think there were any players who are tortured, but I mean, for me, talking to them, and as I said, I keep my relationship with them very close, the players, and I've been with them since '98, and some of them are either like my kids or my friends. But I think it states clear, because a lot of people have been bringing such stories out since 2013. The question is, we had an independent report done about all the incidents that happened politically in 2011, and not a single word has been mentioned about sports and about the BFA or even my name was mentioned. Now I've did the integrity check, whether it's in the AFC or in FIFA, back in 2013 and 15. So we have to be clear that only an evidence can stand on certain accusations. And so far, there's no evidence. There is a talk and accusation. I'd like even members of the media to look at the background or where those accusations are coming from.
Do you feel your campaign has already been affected by this? and perhaps you feel that's unfairly, but that's your decision.
No, I mean, I think it's unfair, but it's sad to see that, if somebody writes such, let's say, wrong information, they lose their credibility. And to tell you the truth, some of the media organizations that have reported this without even referring anything to me, I think they've lost their credibility to me and to a lot of people who are around my country. Because this affects the whole of Bahrain when you write something about, let's say, a citizen. And if they feel that this case is related to the country, I think they've lost the credibility of most of the people in Bahrain, from all sides, believe me.
You are, as I've mentioned, a member of the Bahrain royal family. You have a huge role in sport. How do you make those two work together? Do you ever find there's a difficulty or conflict of interest representing your nation and representing a sport around the globe?
No, I think I always draw a line. I mean, it's important that you, let's say, you have a different policy for a different, let's say, responsibilities. I mean, at the end of the day, I was a footballer and I was raised, let's say, with the players and with the teams. Playing the game in the 70s, it was fairly, much simpler and more relaxed than what it is now. And, I think, keeping my responsibilities as a nation and in Bahrain on one side, but taking the confederation and being as a head of a confederation which represents 47 countries is completely different. We have to keep away the political, interference, and how football is. You'll always have some politics into it, but purely, implementing all the regulations and being fair and just to all. And I think we've proved that, in the past, more than 2 years in Asia. And when you look at Asia, it's a very complex continent. You look at from the Far East to the West, and you go south down to Australia. It's not an easy, job to let's say, manage a continent like Asia. Yet, I think we've done a terrific job. And I think it's all because I think all those people have their trust in me. And I hope that, I can do that and the same in FIFA.
While you're talking about the continent then, Qatar 2022, of course, under your umbrella, Qatar, as one of the associations that you currently rule. What about the 2022 World Cup? Always accused of having done something wrong. Did the Qatar Bid Committee do anything wrong?
First of all, as a head of the Asian Confederation, I think Asia and is represented by the World Cup in Qatar, and we're proud to have it and host it in 22 in Qatar. For the past 4 years, I mean, there are a lot of stories out in the media. There was investigation, etc. But so far, nothing stood against the bid of 22, no 18. And I think it's fair to say that, this World Cup in 22 is not just for Qatar or, as a country, but it's for the nations and for the whole region in the Middle East. The investment that this region has put into the game, I think, is huge, and we all see it. I think, and people of those countries deserve to host a tournament like this. The investment that they did in the infrastructure, and I'm sure that it's going to leave a legacy, for future generation. So I think we have to look at it in a positive way. And I think we have to, keep it behind us and look on how we organize a terrific and a beautiful tournament.
Do you see a time when finally the tide will turn and people will embrace World Cup in Qatar, World Cup for the Middle East?
I think they have to. I mean, for us, it hasn't changed our determination, to look forward for that event. But as I said, sometimes there is an agenda, there is a policy somewhere, in the world to talk about this, let's say, World Cup and try to, destabilize it in a way that they want. But I think we are standing firm, and it's about time that people just look forward and just, turn the page.
A lot of power in football, traditionally in the past particularly, and in the media and in other areas,
comes from Europe. Do you sometimes feel there's an imbalance, that Europe's voice is the loudest, if I can put it like that?
Not all of Europe. Some parts of Europe, yes. But I think the rest have seen, the changes. I think we should look at how the World Cup can change things. And we can already see the changes that, Qatar is making just because they're hosting the World Cup. We never see the positive things that what the World Cup has done, in a country like Qatar or in a region like the Middle East. We only, talk about the negativeness. And I don't think this is fair, and I don't think this bid has been treated in a fair way.
The arrests of FIFA officials this year have been driven by the United States Justice Department. Specifically, its investigation of officials in Latin America uncovered how they had used American bank accounts to transfer funds involved in what the Justice Department claimed were corrupt behaviour.
They were expected to uphold the rules that keep soccer honest and to protect the integrity of the game. Instead, they corrupted the business of worldwide soccer to serve their interests and to enrich themselves. This Department of Justice is determined to end these practices, to root out corruption, and to bring wrongdoers to justice.
Let's be really blunt about this. FIFA's reputation is absolutely in the gutter. Even sponsors have got nervous. Financially, there are worries about FIFA now that this is starting to affect the finances. You're taking on that organisation potentially. How are you going to change and save FIFA?
Well, the reforms that have occurred since 2011, I think we can see, the results now. What is the banning of, all those, let's say, who are into football, it just shows you that the reforms are working. There are changes, and recommendation by the Reform Committee have been adopted. It shows that people are willing to make those changes. Yet, there are more things needs to happen. Whether we talk to the sponsors, we talk to the rest of the stakeholders, I think this is the responsibility of all of us, not just FIFA and the football body. You look at governments, what they're doing. And I think, it's a combination of few factors that hopefully we can have the image of FIFA back again.
The latest wave of arrests described in America, the Attorney General, of course, has the spotlight straight on FIFA as being the World Cup of corruption. I mean, this must be depressing for you to hear such language used, that's what we've got to. The accusation, it's the World Cup of corruption. What do you make of the latest wave of arrests?
I don't think we should get involved and connect everything together. We shouldn't generalize what's happening now. What happened with the recent arrests, whether in May or yesterday, are related to the confederations in the Americas. It has nothing to do with FIFA. It's contracts or whatever, or some, let's say, misconduct that happened in the Americas with regarding to their tournaments, etc. When we talk about FIFA as an organization, the staff, I don't think there is any FIFA official within FIFA has been, found, guilty of a wrongdoing. So we have to find what are the tools, what are the safeguards that even we can protect the game outside, not within just FIFA. But if you have more than 1 billion people involved in the game, I don't think it's an easy job.
But you can see that with the corruption allegedly at the highest level, or it has been at the highest level, and with Mr. Blatter, Mr. Platini currently suspended, you can see the easy connection that all of these arrests are under the same umbrella, and that in fact it's an organisation and football itself is riddled with corruption. I mean, how do you see the specifics of those arrests?
Well, with Blatter and Michel, I don't think they were arrested. I mean, they're provisionally suspended. I mean, the case is ongoing, and I don't think it'll be fair for me to comment on that until it ends. But as for the rest of the world, I think, like any organization, I can think there is always some misconduct that happens, whether it's in a country, whether it's in a sport organization or any other organization. What our responsibility is to create some safeguards and to protect the game, not just inside FIFA, but outside, with the help of other, organization, whether it's governments or sports bodies, whoever it is. When we look at sports bodies, I'm sure that nobody has talked about other sports bodies as well. The focus is always on FIFA. It's like there's a microscope. People are looking into the FIFA's activities, but believe me, if they look at others, they're much worse. But I think what FIFA is doing in the past now a few months, with the ethic code, with the new regulations that are implemented, and with the new recommendation, it shows that we're going into the right track. And I hope that, after the election, things will be clear with an elected president who can put his views and put his agenda clearly.
The real heat on FIFA didn't come internally, it came from America. It came from the US Attorney General. Let's be clear about this, that the Swiss Attorney General has just gone along with the flow of the Americans. Why do you think the Americans are doing this?
Well, it's a question I think it's only them that can answer. I mean, as I said, those misconducts have occurred in the Americas, not over here in Zurich. We all ask the question, why have they been arrested in Zurich? Why they haven't been arrested in America? Why using, Zurich as a base, one? And number two, why the timing of an EXCO meeting where you want to announce the good news of the reforms recommendation, yet they want to create the bad news. If there is a policy, if there's an agenda that we have to know what it is, and if people are looking for the better of FIFA, let people come and tell us how it should be run, what are their advice, and I'm sure whatever is good, we're going to implement. Nobody is going to, let's say, be against it.
Thank you, Sheikh Salman, for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.